We are in. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The chat is already open. I can tell because I see all of it. Oh my goodness, Chris Forstner, 4 hours later, my dude, we just got started. My dog, what the hell? Amity, what's up, y'all? What's up?
No, LeTron, let's come back in 4 hours. If that's what Chris wants, we can come back in 4 hours.
No, because he'll probably spell check me on something in 4 hours. I think I got this right.
See you at 11 o'clock news.
Oh boy. Surprise econ debate. Let's go. Hey, Net Inquisitor, please find the Krasensteins for me and tell them to debate my ass on econ. I've been waiting for a long time for that. So, yes, please. Chris, I'm just here to tweet at him for being late. I wasn't late today, was I? No, we were not late today. Damn it, Chris. Quit it. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Dude, I'm so happy you guys are here. This is amazing. Oh, Julie Curtis is back in the house. Oh my gosh, Julie, this is your third week in a row. And she was a never listener before, as far as I remember. If I'm remembered correctly, Julie, please remind me. Oh boy. I think I am setting up a chessboard. Oh, I think that's for you, Zeal. I think that is for you. And one more before we get going. Oh my God. A plague on both your houses. Hello, everyone. We need to put a plague on all the houses when it comes to government. Yes. You missed last week. I missed you too. Stop it. But hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buds and Reality Show, the #1 Liberty podcast in Detroit. I'm Sean Collins, the guy with a lot to say, and I'm here with a very, very special guest. I don't think you guys understand how special this guest is. Mr. Joel Ellenwood, a.k.a. the Infinite Zeal. My goodness, my brother, how you doing?
Good. My ginger beard's looking better than yours at this point in time, but I don't want to rub it in or anything. So, but I'm doing great.
No. Your ginger beard is looking absolutely amazing, sir. We're just gonna say that because, like, I was once a ginger and now I'm a silverback because I got old. So I appreciate your ginger beard. I really, really do. It's amazing. Oh boy, Legacy Zach is already in the chat. Oh, Woodrow Wilson was seen jerking off to a photo of Lincoln. Oh my God. Probably. You're probably right.
Stalin too, probably, one of those guys.
Stalin, Mao, all those guys. It was a big Lenin and Woodrow Wilson were homeboys. So hey, all the progressives and the communists got along.
Hey, Marx and Lincoln, Lenin and Wilson. Hey, it's one big Venn diagram.
He says, white beards rule them all. Thank you, sir. I have earned my stripes. I am old. But you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is amazing. I really hope you guys had a great holiday. I hope you ate a lot of food. I hope you guys hung out with your family, whether you wanted to or didn't want to. You got to put your family time in. We all know how that goes, especially after election season. How many people, had a drunk uncle that was really excited about this election? And how many people had a drunk aunt or uncle that was really not excited about this election? Because I'm sure there was a mixture of both, especially in this holiday season. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't have any drunk aunts or uncles. And for the most part, most of my family weren't, they're most of them Trump supporters, but they don't really talk too much about politics. So I was the one you gotta, I kind of with like at Thanksgiving dinner, like I don't get like angry about politics, but I just try to, incite a little something here, light the flame, and maybe some sparks can start flying. Not this year. It's pretty chill. No one took any bait. So, yeah.
You want to know what? The fact that you said that leads me to something. And I think it's because I think leftists were tired of leftists, which is why Trump won by an amazing, astounding amount within the Electoral College. apparently some states are still counting and he might lose the popular vote. Are we fucking kidding me right now? Like, we're still counting votes?
Yeah.
Why are we doing
California? Are they still counting?
like I come from a time, I'm in my mid 40s. I remember when elections just happened, you had a winner and there was a loser, and there wasn't votes being counted for weeks on end after the election. My goodness. What's today's date? November 29th, 2024. And they're still counting votes from November 5th. Come on, man. We got to get off this shit. Seriously. Get back to paper ballots. Paper hand counted ballots are the way. This is what Americans want. This is what a lot of people from Arkansas want. You know, not to get into that too much, but like the people of Arkansas definitely want hand counted votes. Oh boy. Here we go. Julie Curtis, everyone should have at least one libertarian at their dinner table. LOL. They should. Will it keep the peace? Absolutely not. No way, no how. Net Inquisitor says stop voting. Yes, I agree. Stop voting and stop paying taxes. If you want to see real change, you'll do those things. If you want to keep being a part of that, then go vote. I don't know what else to tell you.
This is a great great primer on how to make the tax man afraid again.
The Whiskey Rebellion, yes.
Rebellion. Basically terrorizing the tax man into being too afraid. Excuse my language. When I say that, I mean, you know, scaring the tax man into being basically afraid to go collect taxes. There's the blueprint right here, tax revolts.
This is Buds in Reality, dog. You never have to worry about what you're saying on this show. We will get kicked off of everything until we're not there, I guess.
I'm not going to worry about that.
Well, let's see. I have literal socialists at the table, but there's no fights because we're not assholes. That is a great statement, Chris. Actually, that's perfect. Julie Curtis says, yes, laugh, 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 laugh. Legacy Zach Attack says, yes, Joel, and a plague on both your houses. I still vote so I can get jury duty. Well, nullify your jury everywhere. That's all I have to say about that. But we have a reason for this show. We have a reason for every show. We have a reason for a lot of things. So we're going to dig into this because number one, well, let me pull it up real quick if I can get it on my phone, because I read things off my phone because my eyes are old. Look at this gray beard. It's not red like Joel's. So I need bigger font. But let's just get right into it, my brother, because there is something that is happening that nobody is talking about right now. And that is a financial catastrophe. Trump didn't talk about that during his campaign. Kamala Harris didn't talk about it on her campaign. Not even Chase Oliver talked about it on his campaign. None of them did. Because none of them have a clue how to do with it or what to do with it. So we need to begin here and go from there. And oh my God, why does this thing keep moving around and doing all the things that I don't want it to do? Let's start here. Breaking from Jacob King, who happens to be a financial analyst and value investor sharing unbiased and contrarian market insights. He's actually a great follow. Really, really a great follow. But he reported 4 days ago, U.S. banks are now grappling with a whopping $515 billion in unrealized losses. To put that into perspective, that's over 8 times higher than the 2008 disaster, 2008. We've talked about this before. We've talked about this many times, but I don't want to stop there. We can't stop there because there's more to this than that. Gold Telegraph reports the Czech Republic Central Bank aims to double its gold reserves to 100 metric tons within the 3 years. He says we need to reduce volatility, and we need to asset with zero correlation to stocks, and that asset is gold. Czech Republic is planning on leaving the monetary system. Here's another one. Testifying before Congress as Fed chairman in 2015, Janet Yellen informed the House Financial Services Committee, I don't believe that the Fed should chain itself to any mechanical rule. Okay, let's keep going. Gold Telegraph reports a day ago, El Salvador's president believes unmined gold holds the potential to transform the country. The president has proposed ending the country's metals mining ban. Countries all over the world are starting to prioritize time test money theory. Okay, let's keep going. Gold Telegraph again. Those dismissing the record pace of insider stock dumping overlook clear historical patterns. Meanwhile, central banks face massive unrealized losses, limiting their ability to print endlessly into the next major crisis. Now it's time to think outside of the box. Gold Telegraph once again. Buy now, pay later is surging in the United States. I warned about this years ago. Yes, people are living off credit. They can't afford living off the means that are given to them, nor can they afford to get another prosperous way of bringing in money, because there's only one job for most people. Okay. Gold Telegraph again. The Bank of England is now warning. This is 8 hours ago, by the way. The Bank of England is now warning that surging government debts threaten Britain. We now have hit peak irony. No shit. Yes, we have. It gets better. Gold Telegraph. Saudi Arabia abandons the pursuit of U.S. defense treaty. Oh, and by the way, one more time before we dig into this. Gold Telegraph. If you guys aren't following Gold Telegraph on X, you're doing life wrong, especially if you're into economics and the money system and the money supply. Gold Telegraph. What do the 1930s and today represent in the United States? The net worth of the top 0.1% of the population is roughly equal to that of the bottom 90% combined. So what happened in the 1930s? That's my mic drop. That's my phone drop from there. Joel, take it from there. What did you get from all that?
Well, it is interesting. You mentioned the buy now, pay later stuff, and it is striking because anytime you go on, you shop online, you go to checkout. There's like 6 different buy now, pay later services. And I'll be on Amazon. I'll buy something like for like $10, and it's like it's for break it up into 6 small payments. It's like, what are we doing here? So that's just a sign of, regardless of how much gaslighting there is about how great the economy is, and and President Trump was guilty of that. And when he comes in, he'll say he has the greatest economy ever. But the point is, like, most people are having to do things like that. So it just shows the debt crisis we're in. And, when President Trump's first term, he was demanding at a certain point, like he wanted negative interest rates at the Fed. He didn't want zero. Zero is too high. He was tweeting out about negative interest rates. So I don't see. So clearly, there's no reason to believe we're never going to pay off the debt. Toothpaste is out of the tube. So I don't know if they're trying to just, leave him with a financial disaster, or they're just going to try a way to kind of get back at Trump since they lost the election. Charges didn't work. Okay, we're going to try to do something to tank the economy. Then he's left with a terrible economic situation to deal with. I don't know. But either way, it's I hope El Salvador starts mining gold. A lot of more people should be mining gold. We know all about the gold, how the gold standard works and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's not good. And it's great to hear people talk about ending the Fed and stuff, which I don't see it ever being legislated
No.
out of existence. But it's not going to just
No.
like disappear. So, but people, you can actually end the Fed as an individual, like using cryptocurrencies and gold and silver and these kind of things, even gold backs and barter. So reducing one's participation in the banking cartel and reliance on banking institution and banks in general, that's a step in the right direction, at least at an individual level, to shield yourself from any debt crisis that might be around the corner. So I don't know. That's the only thing I think to do, because to think that President Trump, who's helped perpetuate this himself, or our Congress, who's helped perpetuate this with all their spending and money printing, they're going to solve these issues. It's not going to happen. And it's great that Elon Musk is talking about, tweeting out stuff about F.A. Hayek and all these other Austrian economists. That's good. That's good to help kind of raise the public awareness. But at the end of the day, it just kind of, to me, the only solution is each person trying to just get out of the banking cartel and the dollar and everything like that. And that's how you get survive. Or it's the only way to survive in the end.
Which is exactly what we need to do. Like, here's the thing. Donald Trump said a lot of great things during his presidential run, and he surrounded himself with some decent people. So we thought, anyways, and we'll get into that later. But like, the fact of the matter is, no matter what, Donald Trump nor Kamala Harris had anything to say about the incoming financial disaster that is looming. Trump has no plan to deal with this. He has zero plan. He's like, we're gonna have the Doge and we're gonna cancel this.
Here's the plan: cut interest rates as fast as possible, print money, artificially stimulate the economy, like has been done every single economic crisis there's been in the last 100 years.
Yes,
just like COVID. Lower interest rates or stimulus or whatever they're going to do, just government stimulus. So I don't know. That's going to be the plan.
Oh shit. Net Inquisitor. I think it was Raw Alerts on X that broke that China found a massive amount of gold. Gee, where did they find that from? I want to know where they found that from. Because I don't think they found it in their house. I think it was sold to them from our house. It's been happening for a long time. You know why? If you look at any type of financial situation throughout the years and decades, we know that countries that accumulate gold are preparing for a financial collapse. We know that when interest rates go up, countries start buying gold. We know that when interest rates come down, they keep buying gold because they know what's going to happen. Because every time they lower the interest rates, we get a sense of inflation, which is, look at it, you guys, look at it across the board. It is what it is, and that's what it is. Now, oh boy, Amazon, Instacart keeps trying to finance my groceries. I'm sure they are. I am definitely sure.
Something for like $5 on Amazon. You're gonna have Klarna or something trying to get you to finance it for 6 small payments of $2.99. I mean,
but these people who are running for office, whether they be for president or Senate or Congress or anything, they're literally not saying a fucking word about the financial system. They're saying we're going to control inflation. We're going to, abolish the Department of Education. We're going to audit the Fed or audit the government or whatever it may be. They're not going to do any of the above. They're not doing any of the above, and I'm going to tell you why. The central banking system has so much power, so much. So much that it literally runs our government. It literally runs our foreign policy, the monetary system, the inflation rates, and the interest rates. Donald Trump has zero plan to even think what's going to happen in a financial crisis that's probably going to happen within his term and probably before midterms, to be quite honest. Oh, let's see. Net Inquisitor. From the link breaking, China just discovered a massive gold reserve worth about 83 billion in Hunan province. That is going to add a massive supply to gold total in the world. Probably is. But the fact that foreign enemies are acquiring gold at this pace, and by foreign enemies, I mean China and I mean Russia.
Well, they think a little bit longer term than we do. So all our systems based on 4-year, basically no one thinks more than 4 years ahead. In China, they have a very long-term, low time preference, long-term view. Same thing in Russia. And they have a lot of some of these big companies that have to do with like building housing and stuff have a lot of debt and stuff. But I mean, I'd say just Chinese society in general and Russians too are probably a little bit more fiscally responsible just as a society. Like I said, our whole system's based on 4-year cycles, and so then they have to try to have all these programs, and that's where all the spending comes from, and of course to fund wars. So they'll probably be in a little bit better position than we are in the long term.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up because you're 100% about our financial system being, in 4-year increments. I think we're at 2-year increments at this point because the inevitable is coming. This has been, I've been talking about this for a year. You know this. You have been listening to my show for a long time. You have been on this show many times. You know exactly what it is. Now, oh man, not to piss off my Trumpers who are listening, but this is how it goes. Donald Trump has zero plan to combat a financial disaster. As a matter of fact, he's going to side with your enemies in a financial disaster, whether it be via a central banking system, whether it be CBDC, whether it be another war, which, let's be honest real quick here, our economy in the United States is hanging on by a thread. It's literally like grasping for air. It's hanging on by a string. I don't know what else to say or how to explain it, but like he has no plan for when the bubble bursts, and it could definitely happen during his term, which I really believe it will, because number one, it's going to be the ultimate plan for the Democrats. Let's be honest. If a financial disaster happens under Trump's watch, the Democrats are going to fly in like a bat out of hell and be like, we're going to rescue you, but we're going to invoke all the tyranny that comes with it. Whether it be, I don't even know what kind of tyranny they're going to invoke. It could be lockdowns. It could be literally, banking. I got to watch my wording here. Like, they could be watching your bank accounts. They could be watching everything. They could literally just come in and say, hey, we're going to save you from this situation, but we're going to take all your privacy and all your rights in order to do so.
So what's going to happen is, it's going to be like, oh, see what happens when you have laissez-faire, unregulated capitalism. It's a big failure. See, oh, look, Doge, it's looking like they cut all this government spending and look, it caused this big crisis. We need more government agencies and more government to help solve this problem. And then Trump's going to say, "Oh, the reason why there was a catastrophe is because it's all the inflation and spending from Democrats. It's not my fault." But it's because it's funny. But it's funny because a lot of the inflation, which of course Democrats and Joe Biden had a lot to do with. The Trump and the Republicans are like, "Oh, look at the inflation under the Democrats," and it's like, well, a lot of it's due to your spending during COVID help drive that. So when he's going to be in office, he's going to blame it on them because it was their spending, and Democrats are going to say, "Oh, well, look at this laissez-faire and Doge. It's a big disaster. Capitalism, free markets, deregulation. That's why we're having this issue. We need more, and so you know how it's going to go."
That's right. Now let's bring in the chat real quick. Net Inquisitor says, "I am not dying for bankers." Fuck no. You shouldn't die for bankers. You shouldn't die for anybody except Jesus Christ and your family. Period. And that's that. Oh boy. Now, Zach Attack. Tell the Trumpers they're all Democrats. Hell yeah, they're Democrats. Trump is a New York Democrat. He supported Hillary Clinton for a long time, gave her millions and millions of dollars. Let's not forget about that. Julie Curtis, zero people in power care about finances. After all, the peasants will pay. You are 100% correct, and we need to stop that immediately, which is why we do what we're doing today. Thank you, Julie Curtis. The New Deal 3.0. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Yeah, it really is the New Deal. Except it's going to come with CBDCs and slavery. Wow. And Chris Forstner. Who is in charge of the banking, Sean? Well, Zeal, do you want to take it or do you want me to take it?
It's your show.
The juice, as Chris Forstner would say. Who owns the banking system? They do. They own everything. They own the banking system. They own the media. They own rock and roll. They own literally everything you see on TV. Yes, Chris, you are correct. I'm glad you brought up the juice. Bye, Dragon. Zach Attack. As much as I would love to get part of the blockchain, I just don't trust it, considering the fact that anybody has access to our grid and internet. So I have a hard time with that one. And the cycle has to end. Yes, Net Inquisitor, you are right. And Lincoln did. Oh, this is for you, Zeal. Zach Attack is blaming Lincoln. What do you have to say about that?
What happened?
What to everything? It's Lincoln's fault, right?
I mean, it's most of it. 99.9%. You know what's crazy? Joe Biden, I'll take Joe Biden over Abraham. I'll take Kamala Harris over Abraham Lincoln. If Kamala Harris was running against Abraham Lincoln, I'll take Kamala Harris 100% of the time.
You know what? I don't think you're wrong, because Abraham Lincoln was literally
first income tax, Abraham Lincoln. Crush states' rights. First draft. Of course, everything else, locking up dissidents and waging war, total war on civilians. Gave Stalin all his good ideas on how to lock up dissidents in the middle of the night. And
Lincoln was a real
elections.
Lincoln, how much of a stand-up guy was Lincoln? He freed the slaves, man. He freed all the slaves and he brought America back to prosperity, and he didn't start any wars, and he was just a great guy that deserves his fucking face on a mountain, right?
It's like Lincoln was like anti-slavery in the same way Republicans now are pro-life. Like, they say they're pro-life, but it's like, yeah, they compromise on abortion, and then they don't care that Israel's slaughtering tens of thousands of kids, and Republicans love war. But like, Lincoln was anti-slavery, but okay, he's of course the Corwin Amendment. So he gives the South a constitutional guarantee: we'll never take away your slaves. He enforced the fugitive slave clause. After they realized it made no sense to enforce the fugitive slave clause because they were literally returning slaves back to their owners in the South. So they decided, well, let's keep the slaves and put them to work doing hard labor in contraband camps. So it's like, okay. And then a lot of the reason why he didn't want the expansion of slavery is because he didn't want whites and blacks living together, and he didn't want to destroy white labor with slavery. So it wasn't like he had a moral issue. So West Virginia, he created West Virginia as a slave state too. So it's like, really, this guy's anti-slavery? I mean, maybe not. Maybe nominally with his rhetoric he was, but I don't know.
I mean, the guy just wanted to deport black people back to Liberia. It wasn't a big deal. He wanted to free the slaves just to deport them, right? I mean, that sounds great.
He just replaced he just put in place wage slavery, because it was like, okay, what's cheaper? Okay, if you have slaves on your plantation, right, you have to, if they get injured, you have to provide medical care, you have to feed them, you have to house them. If you just have wage slavery, well, it's a lot cheaper because they go home. You don't have to pay for their housing or their food. You just pay them a small wage, and they're responsible for their own health care and living situation. And so it's more like an also economical kind of calculation versus slavery's, we think it's abhorrent and evil. Those more or less the reason.
Which is crazy. And if you guys want to find out all these facts, just read Thomas DiLorenzo's books. I'm telling you right now.
Thomas DiLorenzo's book. There's a great book, Forced into Glory, Abraham Lincoln's White Dream by Lerone Bennett Jr. It wasn't about slavery, Samuel Mitchum. That's also a good one. So there's a lot of good, even the collected works of Abraham Lincoln. You can just read Lincoln's own letters and words, and it's like, oh, okay,
He just didn't get it, and he didn't even try to get it. He did what he did, and then all of a sudden he was a savior of all things that were evil. But we know better. Chris Forstner says, which is why England banned slavery within their borders, but it's supported in their own colonies. Yes, you are correct, sir. Slavery was never abolished. It was nationalized, to be quite honest. See taxation. I know that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, but you know what? We're all slaves here in the United States because you pay over half your money to the government just so you can survive. And then on top of it, you get hit with inflation. So when you go to the store to buy shit, it costs you $9 million. And this is why America's broke. Over 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Chattel slavery was abolished. Was it, Zach? Because I dare you to not pay your taxes, and you'll see whether or not chattel slavery was abolished or not. I guarantee you they're going to either, one, kidnap you, put you in a cage, or they're going to kill you for a little bit of money. That's what they do. But moving forward, we got to understand this much right now at this point. We are looming in a financial disaster, not only nationally, but globally. There's other countries right now that are adopting the gold standard and leaning to gold, leaving the monetary system because they're seeing what's happening here is not going to work. Where's Donald Trump for all this? What is he even speaking of about all this? Because you want to know what? And Chad P, Chad, I love you. You're my best friend. I love you. I don't squat when I pee. Dork. But no, seriously. No, the fact of the matter is Donald Trump has no plan to fix the incoming disaster that is coming. Because it's not just going to be in the United States. It's going to be globally. It's going to be a global financial disaster, which is why they're working on a global CBDC, period. And so why are libertarians so gung-ho about this guy? I don't get it. Unless they just don't understand the monetary system or what's to come. I would think that libertarians were going to be very informed about what's happening with the financial system and the global monetary system. But it doesn't seem that way because a certain group of libertarians have jumped on board with Donald Trump, and this is where it's going to get juicy, you guys, because I know a lot of you that are watching this show are libertarians. But I'm here for truth, and I am here for passing along a message. Ooh, he says those aren't libertarians. That could be a argument that could be had, yes. But we need to start somewhere. The Libertarian Party made a deal with Donald Trump. We all know this. It was the Mises Caucus who did it. That, he promised that he would put a libertarian in his cabinet as long as libertarians voted for him. They showed up for him tenfold. Chase Oliver got like no votes, let's be honest. As a matter of fact, Jill Stein of the Green Party got the bronze medal. It wasn't even libertarians who got the bronze medal. It was Jill Stein. And she says, free Ross. Yes, we're going to get to that, Amity, I promise. Now, dude has picked his cabinet. Not a single libertarian in sight. And let me be clear about something. I am not against the coalition with Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, I was very much for the coalition with Donald Trump because I thought maybe he would be a little bit different this time around. I really did, because he was saying the right things and he was surrounding himself with some quote unquote liberty-minded people, right? And they're talking, end the Fed and, audit the Fed and do this or do that, which, God, that speaks to all of our hearts, right? But come to now, there's no libertarian in his cabinet. As a matter of fact, dude filled his cabinet with Israel First neocons, okay? And while a lot of us are pissed off about that and speaking out against it, there's a certain group of people who have said nothing about it. They are not holding him into account for not keeping his promise, and that's the Mises Caucus. I love the Mises Caucus. I'm very Mises adjacent, okay? And I think, with the decentralized revolution rhetoric and stuff like that, it spoke to my heart. I love those guys, and I ride with a lot of those guys. What's disheartening is they're saying nothing, literally nothing, that he broke his promise and has pretty much moved on.
Well, I guess technically, RFK is a libertarian, technically. So I guess if you can hang your hat on that. I mean, because what is libertarian if not paying a $25 fee and getting a card in the mail? I'm being facetious, but that's kind of I guess the next conversation is what's a libertarian, right? You pay your fee. Are you really, if you're technically a part of the membership of the party, so you're a libertarian versus ideological things. But that aside, I've seen a lot of Mises people who voted for Trump criticizing his cabinet, I would say. I've seen quite a bit of that. And I don't know if I wouldn't say they're like jumping on board. I just think it's like, okay, one of two people is going to be president. A lot of this stuff's going to happen anyways. Kamala Harris is going to be given blank checks to Israel as well. A lot of the stuff with the economy is going to end up being the same and happening with inflation, etc. So it's like, okay, all things being equal, might as well take the guy that's making a couple promises and at least pandering to what we believe. So I can get behind the logic and the reasoning. I didn't vote for Trump. I've stated why, but I've seen many people who voted for Trump criticizing his cabinet. I hope that continues. I hope that's my one concern, is that they get a seat at the table, then all of a sudden you're afraid of losing that seat, and then as the administration rolls on, you don't hear as much criticism and frustration with the administration as you otherwise might. So that'd be my one thing to look out for. And I don't think any of them, quote unquote, have sold out their principles before voting for Trump. But I think what would be a selling out of principles is if, $20 more billion for Israel. Israel continues their massacre. And he's forcing interest rates down to zero because he wants to spend money. And there's all these weapons and contracts for the war machine, like his first term, and so on and so on. What would be selling out is then, okay, well, I'm at the table and, Trump doesn't like to be criticized. So we're just going to tone it down a little bit because we don't want to lose our spot. And then there's a justification that, well, it's for the greater, we gotta accept a couple things for, the quote unquote greater good, wherever that is. So hopefully that's not going to happen. I hope to see a lot of anger and frustration and the stuff libertarians are good at and voicing their displeasure. I hope that continues from the Mises Caucus and anyone else who voted for Trump. So as long as that continues, I think, because they have moved the needle. Let's just be honest. They've moved the needle a lot with the conversation. Even if Trump doesn't end the Department of Education, he's spoke about it. So having a president-elect, the president of the United States, saying something like that, that's a good thing. So they're moving the needle with the conversation. The political outcomes haven't really happened as much yet, if at all. But that's something at least you can hang your hat on. And the cabinet is an L, undoubtedly, major L. Warmongers, Zionists, that kind of thing. He's had a couple good appointments at some other agencies.
A couple.
But at the end of the day, like, I just hope there's not maybe if Trump does one or two things that we like, that it doesn't turn into, well, okay, you don't hear our enemy the state stuff as much anymore. It's like, okay, he did one or two things you like, we're moving in the right direction. There should never be a complacency or accepting like a way, like getting, I don't know what's the word, but getting complacent if you get a small win. Like he does something you like and it's like, okay, I'm happy. I'll hold my tongue on this issue. I don't think there should be, yes, okay, you did something we like or something, you kept your promise, but you artificially lowered interest rates or you signed this big spending bill, and there should be, all hell breaking loose whenever that kind of stuff happens.
I'm not seeing any pushback from the Mises Caucus. I'm really not. And everybody I've talked to about it pretty much says the same thing as every other voter would say, is just trust the process and we're getting in. Now, here's one positive about the Mises Caucus that I have heard. I do have somebody inside the LNC that I do talk to. But the fact is that there's going to be some libertarians put into the Trump administration, but not as a higher tier person that was promised. Are we supposed to accept that as a win? Which, by the way, I was not given any names by this. They refused to give me any names of who would be chosen for whatever position. I look at it as he broke the promise about the cabinet, and he filled his cabinet with people who are not, quote unquote, America first. This is what you're going to get with Donald Trump. You're going to get more spending, and you're going to get war. The anti-war guy, the guy that said he didn't start any wars or whatever, Miriam Edelson, who gave Trump $100 million for his campaign, lobbyist. She's a Zionist lobbyist. You can look her up anywhere, Google, whatever you want, Free Spoke, any search engine you want. Gave him $100 million for his campaign, which his cabinet makes sense for that donation. Trump's going to level Iran in the name of Israel. It's going to happen. You're going to see it, which is going to open up a shitstorm of other Middle Eastern countries that are going to, quote unquote, get involved. I don't see any way out of this. I pray that I'm wrong. I really pray that I'm wrong. But there is no way in hell that Trump is not going to go to war for Israel, considering his number one lobbyist, number one, and number two, the people that he put to his cabinet. They're probably going to work out a deal between Russia and Ukraine, even though the quote unquote Biden administration had ordered missiles to be launched into Russia. I think one way or another, he's going to figure that out and it's going to get done. Okay. But it's going to move to the other way to Israel and Iran. Like, the Biden administration put a ceasefire out there and they got it between Israel and Hezbollah. Okay. There's no ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Hezbollah is a totally different entity than Hamas is. And I also know that Trump is going to inherit a mess in Eastern Europe with the Russia and Ukraine thing because of the bombs that went off over there. We all know that Putin's not a bitch. Putin is not going to just sit back and say, hey, you guys blew missiles at us and I'm going to do nothing about it. He's going to reply. And why wouldn't he? His reputation is number one to him. He can't look like a coward or somebody who's just going to let shit slide. And the fact that Putin is literally telling his people in Russia to set up nuclear bomb shelters in a nutshell. This is happening. This is happening right now. And the fact that the United States is going to keep provoking the guy, shit, man. Who's to say trouble's not going to find its way here?
Well, he's shown a great amount of self-restraint, and with the blowing up the pipeline and that one terrorist attack in Moscow at some sort of theater, and then the long-range missiles and everything else, and so the guy's. I know we're all supposed to believe he's a warmonger, he's the next Hitler, wants to conquer Europe, but he's shown nothing but self-restraint. When he's been provoked endlessly for 2 years and had probably every right to go even further than he has gone. So at least I would say that's something to be thankful for and positive about. Is he obviously isn't to me, it doesn't seem like he's necessarily looking for more conflict, because he has had I say we, but our government and NATO have given him every reason to retaliate in stronger fashion, and he hasn't.
Well, that's because he needs Kyiv. He needs Kyiv in order to, fulfill what he wants to do. He can't just level Ukraine, which is why he hasn't leveled them in the first place. The guy has enough weapons to do so. He could level the whole European Union, all of it. He could level Europe if he wanted. The dude has 6,000 nukes. He doesn't want to do that. But he's also not going to sit back and say, hey, NATO, you can just keep coming closer to my borders. And United States, you can keep playing games in Ukraine with your weapons or whatever. At a certain point, he's going to say, that's it. I'm going to fuck you guys up. And at that point, is he wrong? Probably not, really. There's been warnings of saying, hey, please leave me alone. The guy has said 1,000,000 times, please stay away from my borders and leave us alone. And the United States and NATO refuses to do that. If I sound like a Putin sympathizer, I'm not sorry, because what would the United States do if that was happening at their borders? I guarantee you it wouldn't be pretty.
Yeah, that's for sure. But so hopefully they work something out in Ukraine. But to the extent something is worked out, it's just going to mean all that quote unquote aid and weapons and all that kind of stuff gets redirected elsewhere, because there's someone even higher on the totem pole than Ukraine, and they're going to get whatever they need or want. So, well, not need. They don't need any of it. Whatever they want to continue their conquest. Which
you just answered the almighty question. Why is all this happening? Why are there wars all over the place right now within Europe and the Middle East? And it circles back to central banking and what we just talked about with the global monetary system that is in play. There's no money. The central banks are out of money. They cannot do what they want to do unless there is war, because if there's no war, they're not going to get people behind them printing money to get them out of a situation. But if there is war, they can print all the money they want because they can get all the rah-rah behind the people they're going to say, hey, we need to go do this for some reason or go do that for some reason. So this is why we're seeing global conflicts all over the place as we speak, whether it be China, Taiwan, Ukraine, Russia, Israel, and God knows what, quote unquote terrorist organization there is.
Well, Xi said the other day that America's the biggest warmongering nation on earth. So no lies detected.
No lies detected, but why are they the biggest warmongers in the world? And that's because the Federal Reserve needs a reason to print the money in order to create a fake boom to save the quote unquote economy. While the president of the United States that's incoming says he's going to save the economy and he's going to save this nation and do this or that, I think there's going to be a major catastrophe during the Trump administration that he's not going to be able to deal with and that he will be subservient to when it happens. Because like Chris Forstner said, who owns the banks and who owns America? Israel, AIPAC. That's why.
We have war contractors that are literally publicly traded. Like we can go right now and buy stock in a company that makes weapons and bombs be dropped in the Middle East, Pakistan, Ukraine, Russia, everywhere. So you can invest in war. Any American can go on TD Ameritrade or what's the one with the damn pyramid? I'm blanking. But anyway, any stockbroker and open up an account and invest in the war machine.
Which is what they do on the daily. And Julie Curtis, imagine if everybody sat down and said, I am not participating anymore. Watch shit change. You are 100% correct. Stop voting. Stop paying taxes. Enough of this shit. Seriously. Grumpy Gnome. Hey, y'all. What up, Grumpy Gnome? One of my oldest followers ever. I am. I'm glad to join y'all. Zach sent me Zach Attack. Thank you for sending me for I am. I am. That is awesome. Zach, you're supposed to talk about Fight Club. Actually, no, you're not. That's the first rules. You don't talk about that, Chris. According to the movie, anyways. But like, you guys, this shit is happening in real time. And the president of the quote unquote free world that is incoming is crickets about any of this stuff because he doesn't have a plan for the financial system. He thinks he's going to fix inflation and he thinks he's going to end the wars, which his cabinet is going to tell him, you are going to war because we gave you X amount of dollars. And he's going to do it because Trump is easily influenced by outsiders. You can see it with the Miriam Adelson donation to his campaign. Seriously. Donald Trump is not going to fix anything. He is a Band-Aid for the inevitable. It is what it is, you guys.
Well, still at the end of the day, I mean, and I don't even think the people that voted for Trump, the libertarians, think he's going to really fix anything. Maybe just do a couple things that they might like. But at the end of the day, even if he does do that, I still hope there's still a realization that nullification still is the best, at least political way to do things at the state level, local level, individual level. And, and as, gray markets, black markets, voluntary interactions, human action. That's how you nullify things at a personal level. So on my stream on Wednesday, I was reading Sal Mayweather's article, and he was talking about we've nullified the banking cartel through, crypto, trading precious metals, barter, that kind of stuff. We're basically abolishing and nullifying the ATF, 3D printing guns, and that kind of thing. So it can be done at the individual level. And be a peaceful person. And I mean, you can, avoid, I guess buying silver is a good thing to do do your small part to stop the war machine because, you know, they're using a lot of silver in a lot of these things. So there's things that can be done. So all hope is not lost. Trump's not going to solve anything. There's nothing new under the sun. There's no reason to believe.
Amen.
There's no reason. Now he might do something unprecedented, in which case, you know, you give credit where it's due, but there's no reason to expect there's going to be less debt and spending. There's no reason to believe we're just going to have there's going to be a time of peace and we'll have no war anywhere. I mean, so there shouldn't be, hopefully there's no, maybe Trump frees Ross or does one or two other things, but hopefully there's no really kind of attitude where it's like, oh, you know, now we can, the federal government's not really evil anymore. They've done a couple things we like, you know, we're going in the right direction. We're going to kind of take a foot off the gas, and, you know, we don't need to fight as hard because clearly we're winning, and that shouldn't be, and to the extent there are wins, they're going to be temporary, and we're going to, like I said, nothing new under the sun. The Republicans and Trump, and for as good as he is, he's not going to be in charge forever, and Democrats will be in charge again at a certain point. And hey, I mean, even Republicans do control Congress. They grow government too. I mean, Republicans gave us, well, at least the Republican administration gave us the Patriot Act, and Trump gave us the CARES Act and gun control and lockdowns, Operation Warp Speed. So, I mean, just going off the first term, why should I expect there to be, he's going to do a complete 180 this time? So I don't know. I'm not convinced, but
I mean, I'm not convinced either. But the fact that you brought up local nullification,
nothing changes on my end as far as like a Trump administration. Yeah, maybe gas will be cheaper. It'll just give me, and I'll have more money to buy silver or guns or something. But it's, you know, the overall like end goal and agenda and day-to-day kind of pursuit doesn't change.
You know, and that's the way to go. That's the way to look at it, because no president can control you or your life or your finances. Like, you are on your own for that stuff, and don't you ever forget it. But you hit the nail on the head with local nullification. We got to give a shout out to the sponsor, Township Liberation at Town Liberation on X. Happened to write a book, Revival of Common Sense, which is about local nullification and getting involved in your local communities to nullify yourselves from the state and all their nonsense. My dude does workshops on X Spaces every Tuesday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. I know there's a lot of people in between there. You got to figure out your own time zones from there. But also he does Free Patriot Artists Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. You got to check them out. They do the workshops to explain how to nullify yourselves from the state. Town Liberation is a great organization who is doing God's work. I promise you that.
Yeah, I need to get that book.
Get this book. It's on Amazon. It's 76 pages. I read it
down right now to buy. So,
amen. No, seriously. You can get it on Amazon, you know, and they are literally just, and he's doing shit globally. It's not just here in the United States. He's working with people in the UK, New Zealand, and everywhere across the board. Nigeria, Econ Bro, we're all in this together, man. We are going to nullify ourselves, but we need to do this through Township Liberation. Give them a follow on X at Town Liberation, at Town Liberation, at Town Liberation. Get on his X Spaces Tuesdays, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Get on the podcast, Free Patriot Artist. That's right, my man Zeal. It is amazing. I really hope you guys.
Cover up my address. I really did order it.
Hell yeah, man. That is the way to go. That is the way to go. Buy your friends books. Seriously. Oh my goodness. You guys are talking shit about Michigan right now. Let's see. Where's Toledo? It's in Ohio, not Michigan. There was a deal made. Let's just keep it at that. We ended up with the UP, and Ohio ended up with Toledo. You can have ghetto ass Ohio, or Toledo, I should say. Ohio's ghetto as fuck too, actually. Zack Attack. I got to talk shit to him just because. Oh, hello, Libertarian Goth. Hello. How you doing? You guys talking about this Buck, Michigan. Nah, fuck Ohio. How about that? Son of a bitch, Zach. I'll tell you what. The big games tomorrow. Michigan against Ohio State. Me and Zach Attack are at war, even though his team's going to embarrass my team tomorrow because my team sucks this year. And that's that. But no, you guys, I don't even know where we're going from here. We had to give the plug, and I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, I had to order that book.
You need to order that book.
I ordered it.
Order that book.
I ordered it.
Everyone needs to order the book. Seriously, because you're going to win through state nullification.
Going right here.
That's right.
Maybe it goes right next to Provoked. I don't know.
Provoked. I Provoked today.
Right up here.
My Provoked was supposed to come on Wednesday, which was going to be my way of not bothering my wife while she studied, because she has a final coming up. She's in school. The book didn't come until today, later, so I haven't got into it yet, but I cannot wait to dig. I'm going to dig into it. I'm up at between 4 and 6 in the morning every day of my life. I'm going to be reading in the morning, and I am going to I've made it my goal to finish that book in 1 month and then have Scott Horton back on the show, because I did the same thing with Enough Already, which you gave me, Mr. Zeal.
Oh, someone gave it to me. I'm glad to pay it forward. Someone on X was like, I have an extra copy of Enough Already. He wants it. I was like, I'll take it.
I am for.
And then, yeah, glad to pay it forward.
This is a great question. Should we support national support or national divorce? Yeah. Example, Texas, Calexit, Greater Idaho, Alaska, section, and others. Yes, absolutely. 100. There is no need for a federal government. Is the federal government representing you? Ask yourself that. Is the federal government representing you and your family? And I guarantee you the answer is no. So why not do a national divorce? Why not 100% get involved with your state and local governments and start nullifying yourselves from the state? There's no reason for a federal government. Their job is to protect our rights and borders. Straight up. That is the federal government's job. Are they doing that?
Well, see, states should be like Texas should be, to me, like Greg Abbott's just as responsible for the open border as the Biden administration is. It's like, stop being a little bitch. It's like it's Texas. Like you're Texas. Like Texas won't happen if Greg Abbott can't even defy the federal government and secure their own border. Well, he's busing people. He's busing people. There's like Chicago and stuff. It's like, okay, in Texas can happen. You can't even stop it. It's an invasion, but we're not going to do anything about it. How many invasions in history did people say, "Oh, we're being invaded. Let's help move the invaders further into the interior of the country"? It's like, what?
Well, the funny thing is about the border crossings right now, which is hilarious, which is another thing I need to point out with the Trump disaster, because he's going to be a disaster. Trump is going to be a literal disaster. I promise you this. And I'll probably lose some followers because of this, but I know what it is. And we've seen this a million times before. It'll be promises made, promises broken. He's not going to know what to do with a financial disaster. He's not going to listen to anybody who says, please don't go to war with Israel, because his cabinets for Israel, because his cabinet's full of Zionist pigs that want to go to war with Iran and anybody else in the Middle East. We know this now. We know Trump has laid out his foundation out in the open, and there's no coming back from it, okay? Trump is going to start a war. I promise you this. I pray that I'm wrong, but I'm letting you know right now that this son of a bitch who has these Zionist pigs in his ear 24/7 now are going to say, hey, chirp, chirp, chirp. We need to help Israel. Chirp, chirp, chirp. We need to give them weapons and money, which, by the way, we've been giving them $3.8 billion in weapons for decades per year.
Well, the Secretary of State, Rubio, and Trump said the same thing, repeating the, Iran's trying to kill me lies. So putting that putting that out there, trying to tie everything to Iran, because that's what Israel. That's the next one on the list for Israel is Iran. That's who needs to be taken out. And so that's why we're getting all this. Iran's trying to kill Trump. It's all Iran.
Yes.
Iran.
Yes.
And so Rubio's doing the same thing, and everyone in the cabinet's pushing the same Iran crap. So
Trump's
doing it too. So I mean, it's just only gonna. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't continue.
I want to read you an article that was actually written by one of our homies, Avi Oppenheim. This one really struck a chord with me this week, and published on November 26, 2024. And excuse my reading, I don't have my glasses with me, so if I fuck up, I promise I'm not a retard. I just can't see. Avi Oppenheim, who happened to write the book about the ethics of vaccine passports, which is a fantastic read. I love Avi. That's my dude. I'm not going to say his full name because I don't know how to say it. Yes, Avi Oppenheim, the guy that wrote that book right there, my homeboy, writes this. It's kind of a long article. Please bear with me. On November 17th, 2024, Rep. AOC set off a storm when she said on social media that if people want to talk about members of Congress being overly influenced by special interest groups, then they should be discussing AIPAC. Amy Spitalinek, we'll call her. I'll probably sabotage that name. The CEO of Jewish Council for Public Affairs claimed that Cortez was playing into dangerous tropes by focusing on the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC. Jonathan Greenblatt, the CEO of Anti-Defamation League, added that it was deeply concerning that AOC was blaming AIPAC for overly influencing Congress and accused her of scapegoating the Jews. It gets better. AIPAC is tasked solely with strengthening bipartisan American relations with Israel. Even as far back as 1987, the New York Times considered them to be a major force shaping the United States policy in the Middle East and for all the betterment of Israel. They donate annually nearly to every U.S. politician on both sides of the aisle, caring only to receive in return support for the state of Israel. They are the Israel lobby, and while their influence is prominent, the significance of their role in politics comes from the immunity from criticism that they are cultivated, or that they have cultivated. Okay? They're not wrong here. If you speak of AIPAC in an ill way, they're coming at you in full force.
Even if you don't do it, even if you're just like Thomas Massie and is like, I don't want any more aid to Israel, which is pretty straightforward. If you're America first, then they try to end you. So you don't even have to criticize them.
Now check this out. This is kind of a big article. Anyone who criticizes AIPAC is accused of being anti-Semitic, with attacks on Israel lobby being conflated with the attacks on Jews. Every politician who has criticized AIPAC has received this sort of manipulative backlash, with AOC being the latest victim. Rep. Thomas Massie, who has spoken ill of AIPAC and voted against bills that support Israel, was on the receiving end of AIPAC's funded TV advertisement that smeared him as anti-Semitic and a hater of Israel. The squad, quote unquote, who are the couple of progressive Democrats representatives that include Rep. AOC, have been vocal against AIPAC and have been accused of believing that Jews are second-class constituents. The array of criticism directed at AIPAC is a fair and appropriate, as it should be, against any powerful lobbying group that meddles in politics on behalf of foreign nations. By the way, it is illegal for our government to take bribes from other countries. Let that be known real quick. Like, it is illegal for them to take bribes from other countries. What the fuck do you think AIPAC is? Anyways, end rant. The inability to criticize the most powerful Israel lobby in America stems from the fact that it is largely taboo, particularly in politics, to speak ill of Israel. The backlash that the likes of AOC and Massey have faced, and thus a symptom of larger problems. The allegiance that American politicians are universally expected to uphold for Israel, while the right often criticizes the left for resorting to identity politics and playing victim to narratives surrounding racial minorities. Some of the mainstream right-wingers have proven to be first in line to scream anti-Semitism and hate speech when Israel, and is so it is important in lobbying group, is faced with disdain or approval. By the way, Avi Oppenheim is Jewish. Let that be known, that the man who wrote this is Jewish, who is against the Israel lobby, kind of like Zach Attack, who's in the chat right now. Zach Attack happens to be Jewish and is against the Israel lobby because we are the United States of America, not the United States of Israel. Continue. An important point that is often overlooked on this issue, and one that is ought to be mentioned, is the fact that AIPAC doesn't represent Jews, but rather Israel. Conflating the interest between the two would be a mistake because there's a difference between Zionist and Judaism. Zionist is the worship of the state, not the worship of a God. Okay? That's not part of the article. That's my 2 cents on that. Political pundits who use Jews as a cover to shield the Israeli government and AIPAC from criticism are also doing so at the expense of many Jews. Their actions fuel hatred and mistrust. It also treats Jews as homogenous and perpetuates the notion that there aren't any Jews who don't ascribe to the Zionist belief that the state of Israel represents them or the embodiment of their homeland. It is consequently those who pull the anti-Semitism card that are ironically the ones scapegoating and harming the image and the reputation of Jews. Whether or not this is all done inadvertently or deliberately would be a good question to ponder. Therefore, while being outraged at the inability to criticize Israel and thus AIPAC is more than warranted, the blame should not be thrust upon the Jews as a whole. After all, many of them are akin to other racial or religious minorities used as pawns by the race hustlers and politically motivated parties. That article itself hits the nail on the head. That hits the nail on the head of the Israel lobby, and that the fact that Jews should be separated from that. Because the Jewish people, I promise you, do not want what Bibi is doing. They were literally protesting Bibi just before October 7th, pretty much calling him Hitler. There were protests in the streets, literally. Then all of a sudden, this October 7th thing happens, which I will call the Jewish 9/11, because we all know what it is. And it's probably brought to you by the same people, the CIA and the Mossad. I don't have receipts on that, but 2 and 2 is 4. We have to acknowledge the fact that the Israel lobby has way too much play within our government, period. What do you think, Joel?
No disagreements here. I mean, yeah, it's memed about it and talked about it at length. I mean, he's like you said, hit the nail on the head. So that's a bit, and then you're saying that in the cabinet, you're saying that with all the hate speech legislation, and you're saying that with all these anti-BDS, BDS laws, and all, and on and on and on we go.
Wait, I thought 9/11 was the Jewish 9/11. We're going to have to save that for another show. I guarantee you, though, the same people that brought you 9/11 brought you October 7th. That's what I'm saying. And yes, Amity, YouTube will probably nuke me. That's why we are live on Rumble as well. I do have a Rumble channel, but I will always bring you guys the honest and unmerciful truth, no matter what, because that is my promise that I made to all of you when I started this, is that I'm going to bring you the absolute and honest truth. But the fact of the matter is, Israel isn't the only lobby. They have the most relevance in our lobby. Poor Zio was worried about his language. Zio, you can say fuck and all the kinds of shit you want to on this show. It's okay. But like, it's not just the Israel lobby.
Oh, heck.
So we know for sure that I pointed out on the last two shows, actually, that the Big Pharma outspent AIPAC by 3 times. AIPAC probably spent about $4.5 million between 332 political candidates within our government this past election cycle. I'm not too sure the number on the Big Pharma lobby, but I know that they spent about $15 million. They outspent us by 3 times, or us. They didn't outspend us. But they outspent the Israel lobby by 3 times. Now, China, on the other hand, China is very relevant in our government. You cannot find that on the internet, how much China actually buys into our government. But I know that there's recalls right now on Republican people in office, one being Voss in Wisconsin, who has ties to the CCP. We also know that Michael White's opponent, our homeboy, Michael White, who ran for state rep in Arkansas against Ashley Hudson. And unfortunately, he did not win his race. But there are some things in the works. I can't wait to get him on. I don't want to spoil the beans right now. A lot of you who do follow him know what's going on, but there is some voter fraud happening, and there might be some people in very big trouble in Arkansas right now because of it. But anyhow, his opponent, Ashley Hudson, is also backed by the CCP. China, as Trump would say, our Legacy Zach. China. Yes, it is China. They're bought and paid for in our system too. The lobbyists within our government are the ones who are running the show. Unelected bureaucrats and foreign nations are running our government as we speak. Period. Oh, let's see. China spends over $70 million per year just in English language propaganda outlets. Wow. That's huge, Chris. Wow, that's huge. Sad. We need China. 70+% of our goods come from China, or a portion of parts or whole from China. Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, Lincoln's starting to build some of their cars in China.
Go figure.
So Lincoln Motor, the luxury, Ford's luxury brand Lincoln, they're building this year. They started building one of their models in China. So yeah. And their marketing is like, we're an American company, but it's like, yeah, they build in China, Mexico, Spain, Turkey.
And the fact of the matter is that not only is China lobbying our government, they're buying land here in droves. Big time properties. They own, I don't want to say almost as much land as the government, quote unquote, owns, but they own a shit ton of land here, and it's being sold to them by Americans or American government. Let that sink in for a minute. Show of hands in the chat. Who is pro the United States selling land to China? Please. I want to know who's okay with that. I'm not okay with that. I know Zeal's not okay with that. I guarantee you nobody's okay with that. Imagine if China reverses Trump's tariffs on us. We are so effed 2 times. Yes, that's another thing. Dude, Trump is going to tariff China, and he's going to tariff Mexico, and think that this isn't going to start a trade war. Free market? Yeah, no. There's no free market. The United States of America has never seen a free market in its history. period. We've seen pretty damn close, maybe in the beginning.
Black markets is the free market.
The only black and gray markets are the only free markets, period. You know, but the fact is that Trump thinks he's going to tariff his way into prosperity. He's not going to. What he's going to do is start wars. Trade wars always end up in ground wars. Always. Feel free to fact check that. Go ahead and go look at history. That's what's going to happen. This is ridiculous. The fact that Trump thinks he's going to Trump says he's going to fund the government, number one, through tariffs. No, he's not. No, he's not at all. Trump says that it's going to bring jobs here to America. Is it? Are his tariffs going to bring jobs back to America? You know, talk is cheap. These people can promise you all they want. Really. They promise you shit all the time. What do they follow through with? Maybe 5%? Maybe at best. It's a pandering game. It's bullshit, you know. China buying our land via black market? No. I didn't say that at all. No, China is not buying our land black market. The government is selling it to them right out in the open. There's no black market in there. It is what it is. But Joel, where do you think we're headed with all this? Like, do you think Trump is going to be the ultimate savior? Is he going to give the libertarians what he promised? Is he going to audit the Fed or audit the government or audit anybody? Is he going to do that?
Who knows? I'm not holding my breath. At the end of the day, I'm not expecting anything from him. I'm not expecting any solutions or answers or betterment of my life from the Trump administration. I'm sure he'll do some things that I'll agree with. I'm sure there'll be plenty more that's not. I'm pretty much unemotional about the whole thing. People who voted for Trump, a lot of my family voted for Trump. I'm not going to hold it against him. I get it. I don't believe in political solutions, and to the extent there are political solutions, they're not at the federal level. And so, you know, I'm going to go about business as usual. And yeah, just I think it's the best time to be alive. I can't think of. I mean, this is just everything that's happening. There's never a dull moment. But yeah, I don't know. He's not. No human being it can be a quote unquote savior. And I'm sure they'll try to. That's how they treat him already. You know, his base and supporters. And I'm sure they'll try to prop him up that way again. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to get sucked into it. I'll just keep saying it till I'm dead. There's nothing new under the sun. So, there's no reason for me to expect there to be very much different in the grand scheme of things. Some small things might be, but, so yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, how do you feel about the Mises Caucus not holding Donald Trump accountable?
I think they have criticized him. I guess it just depends on what a person's definition of holding him accountable is. I've seen criticism about his war. I mean, I just think maybe my big issue is maybe I seen just more like blaming advisors and stuff. I just think it's at a certain point, you got to stop blaming advisors and start, blaming Trump. But again, I get it. Like they think they're getting a seat at the table. Or maybe they have, maybe they don't. Maybe it's all in their head. I don't know. I don't blame them for voting Trump. I wish them well on their quest. I'll support them and encourage them. They're doing some things that are good. The Mises Caucus moving the needle and the conversation. But at the end of the day, I just hope that they stay, that they don't restrain themselves from criticizing the Trump administration because they don't want to jeopardize what they think they have. So I hope it's all gas, no brakes. They're gonna voice their displeasure. They're gonna be critical and bring hellfire and brimstone when the Trump administration doesn't come through. So maybe they've throttled it down a little bit, maybe not. I don't know, but I hope that as we go on, they will be consistent throughout. And yeah, I mean, I don't hold it against them. I don't I don't care. Like, what's a real day people doing this high and mighty? I'm better than you. You're not a libertarian. I'm not getting into that. We've gone over that at length. Libertarian Party as a political entity is pretty much not really relevant. But where they do thrive and where their strength is changing the conversation. And moving the needle that way. It's the ideas, it's the principles. It's what Ron Paul's been talking about for 30 years, principled. And he knew what he believed. He knew it was the truth, and he kept telling the truth no matter what. And people made fun of him and all this kind of stuff, and it didn't matter. So that's what it's going to take. And as long as they keep doing that, it's going to be fine. And then you got the people working at the state level in New Hampshire and like Texas and stuff. They're doing good stuff. And then you got people who are actually in reality abolishing things and nullifying things through their human action and black markets, gray markets, and printing guns and crypto and all these kind of things, homeschooling, living off the grid. So all those things going on at the same time, I think it's going to be, hopefully we're moving in the right direction. So I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to the future. And, I got a daughter coming in less than a month. So,
that's crazy. And that's amazing, dude.
I'm not blackpilling anybody. I don't care how bad it gets. We're looking forward to it.
Dude, I think that's cool as shit. You got another kid on the way. I was one of the first people to find out, just to let y'all know.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Wow. And you're doing a lot of work and you're doing a lot of good things. And, a lot of people don't know this, but Zeal was the very first sponsor of Buds in Reality ever in the history of Buds in Reality. The Infinite Zeal right here, Mr. Joel Ellenwood, was the first sponsor of my show, which is, oh man, you're getting all kinds of congrats now. Congrats.
Thank you.
You are so blessed, dude. You are so blessed.
Yeah, less than a month. We are very blessed. We're looking forward to it. Yeah, we're gonna Jericho's gonna be a big bro, and it's gonna be awesome.
Zach Attack. Oh man, I gotta pull this back up. I don't know if I can pull it up. Oh wait, I figured it out. I am a tech tard, you guys. Oh, I just lost it. Oh boy. Oh, Zach Attack. Konkin was correct about the LP. God love Nolan, but it was destined to be a shit show. Konkin literally said that party politics were quote unquote trash, pretty much. Party politics are never going to work. Unfortunately, there was a couple parties that got a bunch of money and they made it work, but it's not working now. The LP made sure that it didn't work with no money, which surprise, whatever. But the fact of the matter is that, we need to get back to our roots and get back to, what quote unquote, I save all my hate for the state. Amen, Chris. I do too, brother. But we need to get back to a decentralized revolution, the original Mises Caucus, game. That was the game they were going to play, was a decentralized revolution, which is what Township Liberation has been preaching with Township Liberation. Yes. That is decentralized revolution on steroids. Okay. The fact that the Mises Caucus took a step back and joined this national party bullshit, that was, we're going to elect a president who's going to save this country or whatever. Y'all, nobody was saving this country. No president, no political figure is going to do that. That is up to you, the individual. That is up to you building local coalitions and bringing in, localization, decentralization, and nullification into your local communities. It was very disheartening to see the Mises Caucus jump on board with such a national attention, thinking that somebody was going to save this country. We were never voting our way out of this. Honestly, we were never, ever, ever going to vote our way out of this. So why go against what you were preaching for the last, 2 years, 3 years now that the Mises Caucus has been in charge? Why would you jump from that to this? I'm not part of a caucus. So the fact is that I'm here to call people out
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that necessarily they were expecting any like salvation. It was just more so like they just looked at what was going on. It's like one of two people is going to be president. One guy saying he's going to do a few things we like. The other one obviously isn't gonna. So we'll just, you know, they Chase was a non-starter, so they were like, we'll just vote for this person. Maybe we'll get one or two things. I don't know. That's just how I see it. Maybe you're free to disagree. That's fine.
No. And that's, dude, I'm okay to agree with disagree. Oh, I thought Sean joined the Mises caucus. I did. And that's the only caucus I'm a part of, which has no political affiliation whatsoever. That is just a fun caucus that we talk about music and kind of make fun of politicians. Oh, do we got Jericho in the house? Oh boy. What up? He's getting big, dude. He is getting so big. That is awesome.
So big. Look at him.
Dude, he's a big. How old is he now?
He's almost 2, not quite 2 yet.
Dude, he's tall enough to be 4. Holy shit.
He's tall. His mama's tall. So.
That's awesome, dude. That's so amazing. Like, dude, I love. What up, Jericho? How you doing, buddy? You're doing all right, man. I see you. I see you too, my friend. I see you too, my friend. But like, before we close, I want to get into something because it is the holiday of being thankful. Whether we believe in the actual Thanksgiving premise or not, this is a time of giving thanks. And
Quiet.
I'm going to tell you something I'm very thankful for.
Go ahead.
I'm very thankful for you, Joel. Because I'll tell you what, 2 years ago, during this time, I was literally almost dying. I was septic in the hospital. They weren't letting me go. I was hooked up to all kinds of IVs and drugs and stuff. My insides were giving out on me. I was in a really bad place. And you, which at the time, I don't even think I had 100 followers on X yet, which was Twitter at the time, I believe still.
Yeah.
I didn't even have 100 followers yet. And you and Mr. Cassie Ramore were checking up on me on the regular, dude. And I love you forever for that. I honestly do. I'm very thankful for that. You had no, oh my God, Chad. Chad's not right. We're not going to say that because there's a kid on there right now. But no, like seriously, I'm thankful for you and your support through all of it, dude. Like seriously, you and Cassie Ramore were the guys that checked up on me like that whole time. And I was in bad shape, dude. My colon was perforated. I had an abscess that was draining inside of me. I had a bag in my stomach that was catching the draining of the abscess. It wasn't a shit bag. It was something like that though. Like, and you were one of the only people at the time that were really checking up on me. And I'm very thankful for that forever.
Of course, brother, anytime. And, that's where I'm proud to call you my friend and you've done a lot to me, always been encouraging to me and supporting of me, whatever I want to try to do. And I know I can always count on you in any situation. So I appreciate your friendship and all the encouraging phone calls and things like that. So I'm thankful for you too, bro.
And that's, dude, like, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your support throughout the years now. It's been some years now, man. It's kind of wild, but before we go, we need to talk about your show. You started a podcast, dude. You did it.
Well, if you want to call it that, it's just kind of just me, just, and in all honesty, it's more so just to give my God bless my wife, give her a break, because she can only take so much ranting and she can only take so much Lincoln talk in a lifetime. It's like, I think I've hit the limit. Like, it's like enough already. Go talking to the void. So that's basically, that's the outlet, she doesn't deserve to be bombarded with all, what's in my head. So yeah, we're having a good time. Wednesdays, usually around 9, and then Saturday or Sunday. I don't have like a set weekend for the second day, but sometimes Saturday or Sunday. And then we'll just get into different stuff, current stuff going on. Of course, we'll get into some Lincoln stuff, some stuff, Constitution coup, stuff about nullification and whiskey rebellion. Just all sorts of stuff I'm interested in. So I'm working on some things, and as we go along, we'll have some more fun. So.
Julie says, hey, great show as usual. Gotta go. Snowstorm plow here. Oh boy, I'm in the Midwest. I understand that. Amity says, bromance, maybe so, but we're not gay. Oh, what's your show called, man?
State of Zeal. I just been going recording on X. I'm trying to be going live on Rumble. I put all the episodes on Rumble. So yeah, I'll be this weekend. I'll be going again, and then Wednesdays around like 9ish or so. So, and we'll do. I haven't done any interviews yet, but we'll get into that probably after once the baby's born. Maybe we'll get into some interviews. It's just been me monologuing basically for now, but like I said, as we go, we'll kind of get into more things.
You are better than I because I cannot do it by myself. I am way too ADHD to even try to do that by myself. So kudos to you, man. I actually dig your show. I've watched all of them, man.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in.
All of them. You're quite informative, and you know what you're talking about. And I respect what you're doing, and I love what you're doing. So, like, keep doing it, man. There can never be enough Liberty voices out there. I'm not in competition with anyone, dude. If you're plugging a show, I want to know about it. You know what I'm saying? And I'll plug you too. If you're getting that message out there, that's all that matters. It's not a competition. I'm not trying to outdo anybody. I hope nobody's not trying to outdo me. It's not anything like that. We need to get our voice heard. We need to grow our community. You know, I hope your listeners come this way. I hope my listeners come your way. Like, we are all in this together. We literally are. As Zach Attack would say, and Zach says, when are you going to do a Teddy Roosevelt trash talk? Zach, you will be invited when I do that. Definitely, because Zach hates Teddy Roosevelt, and that's that. I'll take a Million Liberty podcast, please. Yes, Chris, I will too. You have no idea. You guys, I love you so much, dude. You have no idea how much I love you. We do this for you, not us. Like, I don't like to hear myself talk. As a matter of fact, hearing myself talk is kind of gay and retarded. So, like, I'm glad that you guys are here. And I want you guys to radicalize your friends, radicalize your mama, your daddy, your auntie, everybody. Get everybody involved in liberty. There's a way better message than what they're giving us from Donald Trump or Kamala Harris or Republicans, Democrats, even libertarians. If you are liberty-minded and speaking the truth, you are one of us. God bless you. Peace, love, liberty. Be thankful. Be grateful. Be humble. Much love. And Jericho says, yep. I dig it. We're keeping that in the show too, man. Good night, y'all. Be good.